Today on Sports Central, we'll be going over a college football game preview on one of the massive games coming up in week number 6, and that's going to be between Florida and Texas A&M. Of course, both of these teams heading into the season were heavily favored to do really well in the SEC, and of course, it's been a bit of a tale of two teams here. We got Texas A&M on one side. They've not performed very well so far. They've had a couple of rough games. Meanwhile, for Florida's looking like a national contender right now and a possible college football playoff contender for that matter. And this is going to be a very important game for both of these teams, and it's what we're going over here today. We're also going to be going over a full preview and prediction on this one, starting out with your team trends. And of course, last week, Florida beat South Carolina 38-24, so it was a good win. Certainly, I think South Carolina should have been beaten by more than that, but still, I mean, a good 2-touchdown win is not something to be worried about. Meanwhile, for Texas A&M, they got destroyed by Alabama 24-52. Wasn't even close for the majority of that one. And obviously, Texas A&M being a team with Kellen Mond and a great offense. I mean, I thought coming into the season that they'd be a possible 10-win team. I mean, if this was a regular 12-game season, I thought we'd see Texas A&M possibly getting upwards of 10 to 11 wins. And really, it has not looked very good for them so far this season. They're sitting at 1-1, and of course, they had a close game to Vanderbilt before the Alabama game. So it has not looked very good for the Aggies so far this season, and this is going to be a very important game for them, especially to try to turn their season around, because at the current trend that they're going at, it looks like they're not going to even have hardly a winning season, to be honest with you, because, I mean, obviously, all these SEC teams are only playing conference schedules, so it's going to be very tough for a lot of these SEC teams, and for Texas A&M, once again, it's especially a very important game for them if they're wanting to have a good season this year. As for Florida, they're sitting at 2-0 right now with a 2-game winning streak, once again, looking really good. They've got a great offense going. Their defense does need a little bit of improvement, but their offense looks great right now. This game's going to be on Saturday, October 10th, noon Eastern in College Station, so Texas A&M is at home for this one. Spread currently says Florida by 6.5. ESPN FPI's got Florida at 70%. Then the Vegas prediction is also saying Florida 35-23. So all around, all three of our predictions here are saying Florida in a moderate win. So it's expecting it to be more of a 2-touchdown type of win, type of scenario. So obviously, Florida being a team that has performed really well so far, that is kind of self-explanatory there. But as far as your stat comparison goes, these are your previous game stats. Of course, Kyle Trask has been performing extremely well so far this season. Last week, he put up 21 for 29, 268 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. So all around, once again, Kyle Trask just had a great week. He's had a great start to the season for sure. He's put up, I think, over 700 yards up until this point. You also had Damian Pierce, 9 attempts, 51 yards, and a touchdown. And then Kadarius Toney was your top receiver, 6 receptions for 86 yards and a touchdown. And then Kyle Pitts, of course, he had a big week 1. Or he had a big first game is what I should say, and he had 4 receptions in their game against South Carolina with 57 yards and a couple of touchdowns as well, so he had a good game. And then, of course, Trent Whittemore he had 6 receptions for 30 yards and a touchdown. So it was all around a great game for Florida, and this offense is looking great. I definitely think Florida's got a top 3 offense in the nation right now with Kyle Trask. Once again, I will say this over and over again. I talked about this in the offseason a few times. I definitely still think Kyle Trask is the most underrated quarterback in all of college football. I mean, he's putting up stats that Justin Fields would. I mean, he did throw an interception last week, but if you take the interception away, he's got a 21 for 29. That is a great completion rate, 268 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, all around, Kyle Trask is an extremely underrated quarterback. He just can't be throwing interceptions, which, I mean, obviously having the turnovers on the quarterback side is always a big detrimental factor to any team. As for Texas A&M, though, you had Kellen Mond, of course, 25 for 44, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, which, I mean, his completion rate was not very good last week. I thought Kellen Mond was also a quarterback that was bound to have a big 2020 season, which has been a bit of a slow start for him as well, but still 318 yards through 25 passes ain't bad at all. Top running back was Haynes King, 5 attempts, 43 yards. You also had Smith, 6 receptions, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Your second wide receiver there had 8 receptions for 82 yards, and then Chase Lane had 6 receptions for 62 yards. So the receiving core looks great for Texas A&M right now. I definitely think they're more of a receiving team more than a running back team right now, which obviously with Kellen Mond at quarterback, with him being who he is, I mean, he's a great quarterback, so all around, I trust him quite a bit if I were a coach on Texas A&M. As for your games that you've played so far, obviously we haven't really shown this yet, but this is going to be kind of the slide for your last 5 games, and obviously this is going to fill up as the games go on. But as for Florida, once again, They beat South Carolina on October 3rd last week, 30-24. And then the week before that, they beat Ole Miss on the road 51-35, which that was a bit of a sloppy game on the defensive side. You can't be allowing Ole Miss to score 35 points on you if you're going to be a national contender. So they definitely, once again, have to improve that defense if they're going to be a good team this season. But as for Texas A&M, they did get a win in their first game against Vanderbilt. 17-12 was the final score there. All around a sloppy game for Texas A&M. They should have beaten Vanderbilt by much more than just 5. So that does concern me. And then also considering they lost to Alabama by almost 30, that was also a bit of a concerning factor there for me as well, if you're looking at Texas A&M. So, once again, Florida is obviously the better team here if you're looking at stats. And if you're looking at it statistically, Florida is clearly the better team here. As for your key points, Florida is off to a hot start, but the defense does definitely need some improving, in my opinion. I mean, if you're allowing 35 points to Ole Miss, that is a bit of a problem. Texas A&M did have a rough game against Bama last week. I mean, obviously allowing 52 points is not something that you want to do. And I understand Alabama's a great team this season, but Texas A&M, if they're going to be a national contender, you got to keep up with Alabama. Expect a high scoring game in this one, though. I mean, I'm going to say that over and over again. If you look at Texas A&M, once again, allowed 52 points last week. And if you look at Florida, allowing 35 points to Ole Miss, and both offenses are definitely some of the best. Watch out for a big high-scoring game here. This is expected to be a shootout, in my opinion. And considering, I don't think it's going to be a Big 12 type of shootout. It's going to be more of an SEC type of shootout, meaning we could see 70 to 80 total points. So, that's why I definitely think it's possible here. Obviously, the SEC does not score as many points as the Big 12. But here's what I'm expecting here for my prediction. I've got your halftime score being 20-17. Florida will be leading it at the half by 11, but in the end, Florida will pull away and get a big win on the road in College Station, 45-24. I think Florida still allows 24 points to Texas A&M, but I do think Florida in the end gets the big win here. I think Texas A&M, after losing to Alabama, that's going to be a rough game to come off of and try to beat Florida, which I think Texas A&M, they will be hanging around early. I just think after the second quarter rolls around, I think Florida definitely gets into a good rhythm, and they end up winning this one by 21, so they win it by 3 touchdowns here. But anyway, that wraps up my prediction on this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this game. If you enjoyed this preview, slap a like on it, subscribe as well. It really helps out the channel. I'd really appreciate that. But as always, thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this game as well as your score predictions. I will see you all later.